Hello, and welcome to What in the Mystical Hell podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Jobin, and this is my dear friend and co-host, Lauren Avian. Say hello, Lauren.
Hello, Lauren.
In this season 2 opener, we're talking about energetic links, what they are, how to discover if you have one, what it means to have one, and if necessary, how to remove them. First off, what are energetic links? Lauren?
Oh, there are types of energetic links?
There are types of energetic links.
Like twin flame, karmic, soulmates, physical soul ties, emotional soul ties, mental soul ties, and spiritual soul ties.
So we are finding out in this episode that only one of us did the research.
I prefer zip ties.
So let's start with the two that everybody seems to talk about. Like, these are the ones you hear: soulmates and twin flames.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody wants to talk about twin flames. But we're going to start with soulmates because I think twin flames are kind of bogus.
Right.
So if you don't know what a soulmate is somebody that you shared a really deep connection. It could be like a close friend. It could be a romantic partner. It can even be like a family member. But the context that we usually hear about soulmates is in a romantic tie. This can mean a person with whom we feel a natural or a deep affinity, and you can have multiple soulmates in a lifetime. So I think we've all kind of probably met that older couple that have, like, they met, fell in love, they have this crazy deep connection, and they've been together like for 50 years.
Right. Like people who were high school sweethearts and then they drift apart and then they come back together later in life, and I hear that a lot when people say we're soulmates.
Yeah. So they just maybe when they first met, it didn't work out for whatever reason.
Right. And
they had to go live their lives and do different things, but they come back because they still have that tie.
Right.
So I have people in my life that I'm connected to in that way. And yes, there are a few of them that are romantic partners, but it's not at least for me, it's not the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that one person, this is my soulmate and we're going to grow old and die together.
Right.
So that's why I think that you can have multiple soulmates in a lifetime, because they're different people. They're different souls that you just happen to have a connection to.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, it could be a family member. Like, I think we all have that one family member that you really connect with, and that's the person that gets you. Or you have that friend that really gets you, and it's that immediate connection that you felt.
Right.
Now, twin flames, on the other hand, I think you only... Like, they say that you can only have one because this person is supposed to be like the other half of your soul. Like, they talk about, there's that Da Vinci thing where it has the man with all the 4 arms and the 4 legs.
Yeah.
So the lore there is that your soul was split in 2, and you're supposed to spend the rest of your life, quote unquote, looking for the other half of your soul.
Right. And
for most people, it gets a really romantic conception. Like, the version that I hear about everyone is like, I'm looking for my twin flame and we're going to be together forever, and it's going to just be really intense. And yes, it is really intense, but I don't believe that it's supposed to be a romantic connection.
I see those burning out real quick.
Yeah. I also think that if it's the other half of your soul, like, wouldn't you be too much alike?
Possibly. This is where I come in with the Twin Flames universe, the cult.
Yeah.
Their whole concept is that this is the person you're supposed to be with forever, and this was what you were meant to be, and that everybody has their twin flame. It's just a matter of finding them, which would suck for somebody who doesn't find that. And what they did in the cult was they would foster the twin flame.
So, how do you do that?
Well, first you brainwash them, and then you put somebody in front of them. Doesn't matter what gender they are. They literally had people who were heterosexual looking for their twin flame, but they were like, oh, your twin flame is this girl because we have more girls in the cult than we do guys. So you're actually gay, turns out. Surprise.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the most popular manifestation of the concept of a twin flame, and it is why a lot of people know about it, is because of the twin flame universe cult.
So what's so wild is in all the research that I did about twin flames, I didn't see any of this.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny, because that is where it gained most of its traction, was with this cult.
Mm-hmm.
And the couple that started it, who are clearly taking advantage of people.
Of course.
And especially financially.
Mm-hmm. Well, that goes hand in hand. Can you really have a successful cult if you're not taking everyone's money?
Mine certainly wouldn't succeed without everybody's money.
Yeah, so the concepts that I found were that they were mirror souls. So they would be very much like, but that I think that, and I know it's the unpopular opinion that it's not your romantic end all be all. But I think that the twin flame person is, because they would be the other half of our soul, they're there to help us evolve. They're there to help us get better and get to next.
Right. No, I think that the concept of a twin flame is weird. It's a weird concept.
Yeah.
That somebody that reflects you perfectly. First of all, you have to be ready to achieve perfection, and that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Nobody is. For example, if you're not gay, you're just not gay. It's not.
Absolutely.
It's not something that can be forced, and
vice versa.
Right. And so the idea that someone will reflect you perfectly, it's a lofty order. It's a hard thing to achieve. I don't like most of the people that are in my life, so...
I'm sitting right here, Lauren.
I'm sorry. Now you should know.
Now it's awkward. I feel bad for the person that's my fucking mirror soul. Hello.
No kidding.
They got some shit. They have some stuff to deal with. That's a road to hoe, let me tell you.
Right? Right? You got problems if you're my reflection.
But it's supposed to be like this really, really intense connection, which I get it because I'm a really intense person, but I'm like, man, that person must be tired. I'm tired looking at my life. If somebody in the mirror of my life, how tired must they be?
Not just that, but that they mirror your soul.
Yeah.
That is a deep, dark place I don't want to go on my own.
Well, I have like lanterns now and little signs. There's directions. You are here.
This is what I tell people. You think I'm crazy on the outside, you should be stuck in here with me.
Yeah.
It's insane in here. And
kind of like a crazy clown amusement park.
Yes, it is. It is a little bit like that. It is a little bit random, kind of chaotic. But I mean, I've got all the monkeys in order.
But do you have hot dogs?
Sometimes.
That went a place I wasn't actually going for once.
I love hot dogs. Should see what I do with the popcorn.
I don't want to know what you do with the popcorn. I like popcorn. I would like to continue liking popcorn, and I don't want to hear about any cotton candy.
We almost got cotton candy. All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. The last link, so for like the soulmate links, is what they call a karmic soulmate. And I totally believe that this can be a thing. So a karmic soulmate is supposed to be someone that you have a strong and intense connection with, but it's unhealthy. I think the idea behind it is, have you ever had that one relationship where you know that it's a shit relationship? You know that it's not good and you just keep going back?
I've never gone backwards.
Okay, well, you're much more evolved than the rest of us.
Nah, I'm just stubborn.
Well, there's that too. But I think that it's that relationship that you are linked together and you come back together in every lifetime until somehow you figure it out and make better choices.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those relationships are, it's your karma coming back, and you're working off some of your karmic debt with that person. And, you've heard about people that they'll get that past life regression stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll see that they were with this other person in another life, but like they killed each other. And there's always some kind of violence in these different lives.
Yeah.
And I think that that's because at some point, like they just keep coming back together. And at some point, one of them has to say, I can't do this anymore. Right. And obviously it's not going to, like, in the moment, you don't realize that, hey, we've done this in like 17 different lives. It's more at some point where you just have to make that decision that where you finally see it, you finally get it, that the relationship, you need to make different choices.
Yeah. I didn't do that for the first 37 years of my life.
Yeah.
I was more interested in being with somebody for the fact of being with somebody, as opposed to knowing myself better.
So maybe your karmic thing would be, were you finding yourself, like, even though it was a different person, like a different meat suit, obviously, but basically the same person over and over again?
My problem was probably me, but finding that I got tired of them within 2 years. And it happened with every single one.
But were they all of, like, because you know how they say, like, you guys know I have a type.
Yeah.
But rather than maybe a physical type, maybe it's a personality type.
I probably chose them because I could control them. And that's probably true.
So it could be in this lifetime you're evolving and learning to make better choices.
Be less selfish.
Or less controlling. That's a thing.
I'd just rather be single.
Well, there we go. So the underlying thing here is that you're going to keep making these, going through these same patterns,
right? Which is true in my case.
And you keep going through these same patterns until you finally kind of evolve past it. It's like, I hate the new math. I hate the new math. I hate the new math. But I'm adding wrong in the old math. Okay, maybe I'll look at the new math.
Right. Understandable.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely sense that as part of my journey, is that I was making the same choices, the same types of relationships over and over again. And after 2 years, I would become disenchanted with the relationship. And that was because I had dominated and kind of soul crushed them.
Yeah. Well, good.
So it was definitely me that was the problem. But,
So now, you're learning to change those behaviors, and you're experiencing that soul growth.
Yeah.
So I think that these, if you are a person that is linked to someone that's your karmic soulmate, like, these relationships can be really toxic and unstable. And, through these relationships that are really challenging, you have the opportunity to learn lessons and possibly resolve some karmic debt. So I guess the next question we have to ask ourselves is how do you determine if you have one of these links? You're going to feel intense connections with all three. Like, I don't know if you've ever met someone where you've just had that, like, immediate connection. So with all three of these types, you're going to feel that intense connection, but there's going to be some differences. Like, soulmates are usually positive and nurturing. So those are designed to kind of uplift you and support you. Twin flames are intense, but often rocky due to the mirroring effect.
Right.
Like, honestly, if I had to live with myself, we would either be chill all the time, or we would box.
You know what? The dishes would be done.
The dishes would be done.
The dishes would be done.
The dishes would be done. But then I'd be like, why are you so OCD? You're OCD. No, you're OCD. Could you just imagine having a conversation with yourself besides, like, talking to yourself in the mirror?
No, yeah.
I mean, you think I'm obstinate. Could you imagine what my other half thinks of me? Maybe they think I'm great because I am. But then on those days when we're having our moments,
Nope.
no bueno.
Just everybody's bloody.
It's just a murder scene.
It's just a murder-suicide.
They didn't vacuum today. How
did they both kill each other at the exact same time?
It must have been a mirroring effect. So the twin flames are also supposed to trigger like spiritual awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a person in my life that I kind of consider my twin flame, and it's because this person has pushed me to do things not only on a spiritual level, but in my own personal life. Like, he's encouraged me to be more vulnerable with my partner and more open, which is something that I probably wouldn't necessarily have come to as easily on my own.
So my therapist is my twin flame. That's
are you feeling
awkward?
Are you feeling an intense connection to them?
Oh no. Well,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I'm becoming dependent on her.
Well, it's your therapist. I mean, one, you should probably let them know that you feel like you're becoming dependent on them, because that could be a problem. Just saying. No?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're good.
No.
So, do you feel like they're triggering your spiritual awakening?
No, but she does push me to do better.
I push you to do better, and we're not twin flames. I got to tell you,
she never learns. She never learns. She can't learn.
If I was your twin flame, your spiritual awakening would be with a taser.
I know. A cattle prod, at least.
You like the cattle prod. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, stop looking at the door, because I'm going to expect a dog head to pop up there.
This is the only TV we have in the room.
Lastly, karmic relationships, they're often filled with conflict in order to help you resolve your past issues. So being able to identify the differences between soul ties can definitely help you navigate the type of link that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Other energetic ties, and I use the word ties rather than links, because I think the links are a little bit more of a profound connection, whereas energy ties and energy cords are things that can happen sometimes accidentally. So other energetic ties are soul ties. So soul ties can happen through various interactions and relationships, creating a deep connection between two people. They're thought to be binding and have a significant impact on the well-being of individuals. So different soul ties can be like a physical soul tie.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be like, if you've ever had someone that maybe you didn't have a strong emotional connection, but you had this really strong sexual connection to them.
Yeah.
And I think the picture that comes to mind for me is what you kind of see with people with new relationship energy.
Right.
Where they're constantly touching each other and they can't get enough of each other.
Right.
But this is for people that have known each other much longer than that.
Yeah.
And it's not an emotional tie between them. It's just, if you've ever had that person where just the sex is mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you don't even like that person.
Yeah.
But that physical connection is just so strong that you can't get enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of what a physical soul tie could be.
Right.
Because you've created, for whatever reason, this physicality has created this link. And I think that sometimes you can feel it with people when the energy transfers back and forth with you.
Right. I had a partner who I wouldn't date if you paid me. But we had a good sexual connection.
Yeah.
So with him, it was purely sexual.
Mm-hmm.
And most any other time, whenever I talked to him, or listened to him talk, my eyes would be rolling out of my skull because he was so annoying.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. You hear, like, I think I've seen it with friends too, where there's this totally toxic guy that's like, you're like, what do you see in that guy? And they're like, I don't know, but the sex is amazing.
Right.
I mean, and sometimes, it doesn't always have to be a bad connection.
Yeah.
Like, it can be a great connection.
Yeah.
Where it's just very intense and physical, but, now you're in a place where you are tied energetically and, maybe you're not moving on with your life because you're tied energetically to this person through something that's purely physical.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that he would say that we had a good thing together, but I would say we didn't. It's not that I appreciated who he was, but most of the time he was so full of himself that he would only see it as a good thing.
Yeah.
And that was what was off-putting. Like, for example, I would have intimacy with him, I would go out with him, but I wouldn't date him as a person I would date on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Not an offensive person, totally trans, supportive, and he's got a lot of political stuff that he's into. On the surface, he seems like such an amazing guy. Mm-hmm. But
for you, it just wasn't cutting it.
No, again, he was sniffed his own farts, like, so amazing. Sorry.
I just got that visual.
Yeah. And just the lack of self-awareness was off-putting.
Well, I think oftentimes in non-monogamous relationships you see it too. Like people that are ethically non-monogamous, or sometimes not so ethically non-monogamous, where it's just the sex that's the draw.
Right.
And the worry there is now there's all these energy cords that are being tied to people, and depending on who you're tying. Now, when we're talking on a metaphysical level, if you're tied to someone through sex, if they're someone that feeds on that energy from you, now you have someone that is using you as a constant source of energy. Mm-hmm. And that can be, honestly, with any of these soul connections, but I see it a lot more in clients that have where it's a physical soul tie.
Yeah. It can be really toxic too.
Yes. And these things can last even if the relationship is ended. Like they linger and they make toxicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can just build and I've seen that too, not with clients but with friends. Mm-hmm. Where you see someone who is an independent person, but then when they get around this particular person, it's like they're consumed by them and they are no longer in control, and they're not in the driver's seat. This other person is in the driver's seat for them.
Whereas in the relationship I was talking about, I let him be in the driver's seat. I let him guide the relationship. So I conformed to his interests, but I was fully aware that I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And somebody else or other people might not have that fortitude to, it is just what it is and it's nothing more. Mm-hmm. And when you have a power dynamic that's uneven, that's where it can be problematic. But that's true in almost anything. Yeah.
And a lot of these things, I picked this topic because I was interested in the metaphysics about it. Mm-hmm. But these soul ties can happen in people that are not necessarily practitioners.
Right.
Like in two people that are not necessarily practitioners.
Sure.
So it's not like, aha, now I have my hooks in you and I'm going to drain you. You know, it's just something that happens, and it's not always kosher.
Right.
After physical soul ties, there's also emotional ones. So these are deep energetic connections that are formed through intense emotions. Like maybe you've been through some kind of highly emotionally charged situation with someone, and that's created a bond.
Mm-hmm.
This particular soul tie can be it can be very healthy.
Right.
It can also be unhealthy. It just really depends on what the emotions that were experienced during the time that the bond was formed.
Right.
So it could be, you know, where we have this emotional soul bond through grief.
Right.
You know, maybe you see couples that have gotten together because maybe their spouses died in a plane crash.
Right.
And that's how they met, and they have this trauma bond.
Right.
So we hear about trauma bonds a lot.
Right.
And you know what? Maybe it is healthy for them because they're helping each other move on. But sometimes maybe it's not healthy because they're still wallowing in their grief and they're not moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So these kind of bonds are harder because it is the emotion, it is the heart. It's
Sure.
not, you know, yes, maybe there's physicality going on there between the people, one way or another, but it's deep seated now, because it's not just I can, you know, if I'm away from you, I still maybe feel a pull.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where with the physical soul tie, you might still feel a pull, but the longer you're away from them, it might die down a bit. But with an emotional thing, now this is really, you know, like your heartstrings are being pulled.
Right. I have a couple of those.
Mm-hmm.
One is the fire, losing my home in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever anybody talks about losing their home in a fire or going through a very traumatic fire, that's an emotional bond that I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's not nearly as intense as what I call the Survivors Club,
Mm-hmm.
which is people who have gone through significant and real near-death experiences.
Mm-hmm.
When I had my heart surgery, I expected that I wouldn't survive it. And I was 16 years old, and that's a really young age to have that kind of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We were actually talking about this earlier when we were talking about the Challenger explosion, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shared memory for millions of people.
Yep.
And the same thing with
Hi, can you guys come to the door?
Huh? Oh.
pardon me.
Yep. Hold on, guys. We're gonna pause for a moment because we have some officers here. So I'm gonna hit the pause button.
See anybody that gets a piss going. It scared me. So someone called that someone was trespassing.
Stephen Mitchell, the Jack London security guy, called and said Pine-Holds.
Yeah.
Like he gave the wrong address for you guys, and we just moved Pine-Holds list. So
Okay.
you guys.
I am an employee here.
Okay.
No, I can see that. I'm just letting
It
you
was
know why
like
we're here.
homeless guys.
Okay.
They said it was
Yeah.
like homeless guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see anybody or anything. But yeah.
Sorry, we are pausing here.
You see how the bar slopes?
Yeah.
All right, so I did pause this briefly so that we could talk to the officers. We are now laughing about the fact that we can't get through a recording here without something going on. So apparently, the security guard that
Works the area.
works the area here at Jack London Square had seen people that he thought might be trespassing. He called it in. They came to check out. And here, of course, we are sitting here
Yes.
pretty doing a podcast, and they're like, hey, what are those people doing in the bar?
They weren't expecting to see anybody, so they weren't expecting to see anybody inside. So,
Yeah.
and of course, there's somebody inside. Well, there
Better
you go.
than the dog head in the window.
I don't know about that. The dog
I don't
heads.
know.
I get the fact.
He was kind of cute.
He was kind of cute. I'll take the officers.
There you go.
Come here, Officer Cuddly.
She wants to create a soul tie.
I want to create a soul tie right now. Meow meow.
Only us. This is what I'm talking about. Like, we can't make this shit up.
Yeah, we can't have a normal. Can't we just have a normal evening?
No. Apparently not.
What were we talking
We were
about?
talking about trauma bonding.
Okay, yes. And
I keep looking at the window.
sorry. This time it was
Yeah.
reasonable. I have an automatic bond with people who have survived surgeries. There's something that happens with your family when you go through a medical trauma, and things as big as major surgeries, huge accidents, things like that. The drain that it has for the family around you is something that you see and witness, and you feel a certain amount of guilt because you're causing this pain in the people that you care for and love. And it's really hard for people who have not gone through that to understand what happens when you're outside of a loved one going through trauma. Your perspective is very different than when you are the person going through the trauma. Because not only people who go through trauma are far braver than people think, because you're not just going through facing a life-threatening experience, you're also having to play it down for the people that you care about. And it is a tough place to be, and just as significant as the experience of being the person caring for that person. And when you are the person going through the trauma, you experience both people's emotional upheaval. And you're vitally aware of not just your own path, but what the path of the other person is, which is something that I think I've found in conversations when people talk about the trauma of a loved one. They don't know or understand what's happening in the psyche of the person who's going through the trauma, because you are vitally aware of the pain that you're causing somebody at the same time that you're going through this pain. And the Survivors Club is a special group of people who have gone through that. And whenever I have a conversation with somebody who has gone through that, I tell them about my experience, and they're like, yeah, people who don't go through that do not understand it. And it's a unique perspective, especially because I was very young when it happened. It's something that a lot of people go through when they're older. And so they're much better equipped. So I spent years thinking my next day was going to be the day I die. Years after my heart surgery, because I was so young and ill-prepared for the concept that my life could end when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And so that emotional tie, while it's fleeting, it's still there.
Absolutely.
There's an instantaneous understanding between me and another person.
And that connection, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Now obviously I don't know it from the patient perspective.
Right.
But when we, after Chris's surgery, when we went to Camp Okaizu, it was it wasn't a survivors club, but it was when you are a family that has, pardon me, I'm trying not to sneeze, a child with cancer,
Yeah.
it marks you. You are now different.
Right. Right.
Your family is different, and people aren't trying to be unkind, but they don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. So when we went to Okaizu, we all were able to kind of find those connections. You know, Brad and I were able to connect with other parents.
Yeah.
You know, Liz and Noel were able to connect with other siblings.
Right.
And because for siblings especially, it's very hard because they can't control anything that's going on.
Right.
They're a victim of this just as much as the patient is. And a lot of these kids go out of their way to, like, they become more self-sufficient. They are trying not to be a problem. You know, when they have problems that are going on, they are less likely to bring them up because they don't want to be a burden, because they know that the family is so busy taking care of, you know, their patient. And we saw that they were able to kind of bond because of this, you know, and that shared emotional trauma, you know, that creates bonds.
Yeah.
And just going through that, and like for Brad and I, being able to talk to other parents and being able to find a place where we could actually be vulnerable.
Right.
With other people that needed to be vulnerable as well, that got it. You know, and some of those connections have lasted.
Yeah.
And some of them don't. You know, so they're beyond the type of emotional ties of a shared trauma that you are experiencing simultaneously.
Yes.
Right? There are also these connections that we're talking about,
Right.
where you understand the trauma and you have that shared moment of connection.
Right.
I don't know that they're always so intense that they create that soul tie,
Sure.
but it's definitely that energetic and that soul connection there through emotion,
Yeah.
because we now get it.
Yeah. That one is interesting. I mean, my
Yeah.
little brother went through it because he was 8 years old when I had my heart surgery. And again, talk about impressionable. And then he went off into the Marines and became a nurse. So most of his pattern has been to help others. And then for me, I actually have I don't bring, my mother was worried about me left, right, and center for still to this day. Like, it's oppressive. And I don't tell her when I'm sick or hurting or any of that because she went through so much.
Yeah. There's definitely a different badge to earn.
Yeah. And so with emotional ties, now, the shared experience in the moment, you know, that too, I get that. And I think I'm just babbling at this point. I just lost track.
It's okay. Well, I think that for emotions that are the heavier emotions,
Yeah.
those, I think you have the higher likelihood to create that bond when you didn't have the shared experience.
I have a friend who was on a first date, and the guy snuck out on her and left her with the tab, and she came to the bar where I was drinking and enjoying the ambiance, and she was telling her story to the staff there, and I bought her a drink, and I had to reassure her that I was not a lesbian, and that I just thought, you know, felt bad for her and think it's shitty what happened, and we've stayed friends since then.
Yeah, because you had that, you created that bond in that moment.
Yeah.
Now, I think with the lighter emotions, like happier emotions, I think that soul ties are more likely to happen
Yeah.
when you are sharing that moment of, like, you have the simultaneous experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess euphoria could be something that could create something, but I feel like the shared sadnesses have a more lasting, profound effect than the more uplifting emotions. That's why I think that I feel, it's my opinion, that it's more likely for an emotional soul tie to happen for a happy memory if you are sharing that experience together. But by no means am I saying that if you create a soul tie through sadder emotions, that I think it's unhealthy, because you have that tie, because you have that understanding, I think it could be immensely helpful for people to kind of work through things.
Yeah.
Because you have that person that understands.
Right. I think that maybe traumatic experiences branch off into two. They stay in the trauma and they go into the happy. Because with happy experiences, you're just happy. There's no expectation of trauma or sadness. But with a sad or traumatic experience, there can be positive that branches off from that, in the sense that you make friends, you support each other. There's, I think, like, for example, and I'm just going to use this, and please don't write in hate mail, Burning Man. People have euphoric experiences at Burning Man, and they do make connections and bonds, but I think that's more of a slippery slope. I think that when you are artificially happy,
you realize you don't have to like candy coat anything here. When you're drunk and stoned out of your mind,
and you create these connections, these, oh man, we were meant to be here, and all this other stuff, those are more fleeting. That happens with bars a lot too. Is the people are like, people will meet each other, they've been drinking, they exchange phone numbers, you're so awesome, I love you so much, and then they will never talk to each other again. And that's a euphoric artificial connection that's made in the. I watch it all the time. Yeah. And I have the privilege of having been a bartender for 30 years, and I see people and they'll say, hey, did you ever connect with that person? Oh, we went out a couple of times, and then it never came to fruition. Because it turns out that when you're no longer inebriated, in whatever way you're inebriated, you don't actually have any connection. Yeah. And it's all a false connection.
So I honestly, when I have girls at the bar that are like, oh my God, this guy is so great, I'm going to go home with him. No. You've had a couple. Take a picture of him, send it to yourself, right? Take a picture on his phone, have him send it to you. And then the next day it still seems like a good idea, go for it then. Yeah. Because we are creating pathways. We're starting to create pathways and connections where our judgment is impaired. Right. And it's not necessarily the tie that we're looking for.
Right. That emotional thing is a slippery, dangerous.
Yeah, you're more likely to get, I guess, a physical tie than emotional there.
And maybe not one you want.
Yeah. They have a term, coyote ugly, for a reason.
Remember, kids, some physical ties turn out to be herpes.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Now, that's a physical tie that'll last for a lifetime.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. All right. So next we have mental soul ties. So these are deep connections that go beyond emotional ties. The intellectual connection here is the driving force. So we talk about people that are sapiosexuals.
That's me.
That you have to really have this mental connection going on. Yes. And sometimes you do forge these intense connections through talking and intellect, and I don't actually have a good sample story for mental soul ties, so I'm gonna toss that ball into your court.
God, you've got to be able to hold a conversation. I cannot find a person attractive without intellectual stimulation. I do not have physical, other than obviously the one person that I spoke of. Intellectually, we got along, but again, he was full of himself. But for my deeper relationships, especially now that I'm older And I've gone through that phase of being serial monogamous. I really want to be able to have a conversation afterwards or beforehand. So I have the conversations beforehand. The people that come out the box, and I'm just talking dating at this point, the people that come out the box with the sexual turn me off so quick. I need that for my friends too. I do have some friends who are dumb as door knockers.
I assumed.
Shut up. I do have friends that are dumb as door knockers, but they have an intelligence that's emotional, or they have an intelligence that's different. I have two very good friends who I absolutely adore, who I can't have an intellectual conversation with because they don't possess that level of intellect. But emotionally speaking, they got their finger on the pulse in a way that I don't. And I appreciate that. Because I am sapiosexual, I am capable of admiring that kind of intellect, that kind of intelligence, emotional intelligence, even if the person is not smart. Like, I'm talking real dumb. And the funny thing about these friends is because of their emotional intelligence, they have really big hearts, where I feel like I lack a big heart in that same way.
Okay.
And I've watched people stomp on them. Now, if there's anything that I am, it's a little justice. I don't like injustice, and I don't like what's the word I'm looking for? Cruelty for no reason. And I've seen people really treat them poorly and them bounce back with nothing but positivity. And that's something that I don't have.
Yeah.
They lack a complete awareness of id and ego. And that is something that I find really fascinating. But for myself to have a sexual connection with somebody, I have to have intelligence.
Yeah.
And it
Pardon me.
you can watch it happen when it starts to happen. Anybody who was watching it on the outside would sense it grow and grow and grow. And it can grow into a physical connection rather quickly if that intelligence is there. But I've seen too many pretty people I wouldn't want to spend any time with. People who, I mean, you hear it in me when you say, do you think he's cute? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if they're attractive or not, because they'd have to have a conversation before I even think they're attractive.
Sometimes they're just pretty, and I'm okay with that.
You have that. I do not have that.
I do. That's because I compartmentalize very well.
Yeah. I do that with my emotions, not with...
Yeah.
Not with my dates.
Well, I think that also beyond the dating and friendship, like sometimes there are people that you can connect with on an intellectual level.
Yes.
That where you just have those conversations where you're like, yes, you know, and you're like blurting out the same things at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think in those situations you can also create soul ties.
My current partner and I have a mental connection. And we do have exactly the same thoughts at exactly the same time. And so it's fun that way.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a little more clinical than it is physical.
Yeah. Well, that happens. Our last soul tie that we want to talk about is spiritual soul ties. So this is a connection formed on a spiritual level. A spiritual soul tie can also form an emotional and even a karmic bond. And these bonds can influence thoughts, feelings, and overall well-being even after the relationship is ended. Much like emotional soul ties, this bond can be positive or negative depending on how the relationship was formed.
Okay.
I don't really know a lot about spiritual soul ties, mainly for me personally, because I don't I connect with people in the shared experience of being pagan,
Mm-hmm.
being a practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
but my practice is so outside of the circle that I'm never going to find someone that practices the same way that I am, where we're going to have that crazy spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
I've met practitioners where I have had other connections, even soul tie connections, and I think for me the connections that, yes, I can have emotional connections, but I think if I'm going to have any kind of soul tie, I think for me physical might be the one that it would be. And possibly emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But I do compartmentalize a lot of that. So I think it would be harder to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have a lot for emotional or for spiritual soul ties.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to kind of let that one sit where it sits. Let people have, if you have comments on any of these, please definitely write into us. Let us know, or if you have examples for spiritual soul ties, that would be great.
Well, I think of spiritual soul ties like my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can be far away from them. Like, Katie lives in Olympia, Washington, and Lawrence lives in Houston, Texas, and we don't talk on a regular basis. We message each other here or there, but there's still people that when I'm with them in the space, whether I'm there or not, whether we're physically in contact with each other or not, we pick right back up where we left off. We never.
Yeah, but isn't that more of an intellectual, emotional kind of tie rather than necessarily spiritual, like spirituality or religious?
Yeah, maybe. I just I think of them as spiritual in the sense that it maybe is karmic.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is, relationships that are meant to be, that are going to last for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's one of those, what we were talking about, the season, reason, or lifetime. Mm-hmm. The two of them will be in my life for a lifetime. Spiritually speaking, because I fellowship, I have to talk about my spiritual growth in the fellowship. And since I got sober, that has changed considerably. My connection with my spiritual higher power is much, much better, much stronger. And so I do share that with people in the group, in my fellowship. And it's one thing, it's actually what's interesting about it is that we all are on the same level spiritually, regardless of each individual's growth spiritually. And we respect each other as spiritual beings. The program is a spiritual program, and this is not to promote, but to talk about my experience. And through the program, I have learned how to open up spiritually, and I can see them on that level. And that is definitely spiritual. So while I perceive my two best friends as being spiritual soulmates or spiritual soul ties. Maybe it is more mental and emotional, but with that group,
Yeah.
it is definitely spiritual soul ties.
Okay.
That the one thing we all have in common is a higher power.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Buick or the Christian God or shamanism, we all have a spiritual program that we work.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just kind of thinking back about what you said about Katie and Lawrence. They could be soulmates. Right? Because we've said we can have multiple soulmates in a lifetime.
Yes.
So that could be a thing. So you think you have a soul tie or a soul link. How do you recognize that? Well, one of the things is that you could feel energized or inspired after spending time with the other person. Like I've definitely had situations where I have met someone and just had that immediate like feeling of connection, and like all of a sudden you're so jazzed to be around them. Mm-hmm. Right? You just have a shit ton of energy around them.
Right.
Like I've definitely experienced that.
Me too.
Having a strong feeling of comfort and security in the other person's presence. You know, if you've ever like met that person that you just like, you feel like they're home.
Right. Right.
Being able to express yourself openly without fear of judgment or criticism. And I think sometimes that's a little harder for us to find, but when you have that person, like you definitely recognize that.
So what do we have? Because that's true between the two of us, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We are very candid with each other.
Scary.
Sometimes way too candid.
Yeah. Uncomfortably.
Yeah. Still have to delete that picture off my phone, ma'am.
Yes, but which one?
Oh, all of them. All right. Mutual respect and admiration for each other. I feel like we kind of have that too, though. It is drowned in layers and layers and layers of sarcasm.
Yes.
A feeling of unconditional love and acceptance. You know, there are times when we find those people that just love us for who we are. They meet us where we're at, and they love us for who we are.
You know, I get that from you and your family a lot. That I definitely have been accepted for all my flaws, which is nice.
Yeah. You know, we don't expect you to be anything more than who you are.
Right.
Right? Having a deep level of understanding and empathy for the other person. So that can be another indicator that you're experiencing a soul tie with someone. But what if you have an unhealthy soul connection? I keep looking at that door every time you look at the door. It's freaking me out.
Sorry.
It's okay. What if you have an unhealthy soul connection? Here are some of the indicators that your connection could be toxic. Emotional dependency. So if you feel like your happiness is dependent on this person. So before I finish going into these, an unhealthy soul connection is just like any other toxic relationship. And a lot of these indicators are the same things that you will see in a toxic relationship. So emotional dependency. So I can't be happy without this person around me. Like if this person left, I would never be happy again. Mm-hmm. Like intense feelings like that can be indicative of an unhealthy soul connection. Loss of personal identity. You know, when at one point you were someone with lots of thoughts and opinions, and now all of a sudden you are just parroting what your partner says. Mm-hmm. You know, that can be another indicator.
Yeah.
Manipulation and control. If you have a connection with someone and, you know, this relationship is manipulative and controlling, like, you know, one, obviously, that these, again, like I say, these are all indicators of a toxic relationship. But now we're talking metaphysical soul ties. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking manipulation and control, it's really more than just this person's talking to you and everything else. It's really literally like their will is being superimposed on you. Isolation from other relationships. Constant drama and emotional turmoil. So if you're feeling these things in a relationship, red flags. Physical or emotional abuse. So whether you think it's a soul connection or this person's your soulmate or, they're just the love of your life, if you are experiencing physical or emotional abuse, mental abuse, that's an indicator. Get the fuck out. Really.
Mm-hmm.
Obsessive thoughts. If you cannot get this person out of your brain, they're just constantly there. Yes, it could be new relationship energy.
Mm-hmm.
It also could be an indicator of an unhealthy soul tie. Neglected self-care. When you're not around this person, you don't even want to make the effort. That's something concerning. And inability to envision a future without them. If this person left me, my life would be over.
Mm-hmm.
Again, unhealthy soul connections are just like any other toxic relationship.
I think I have experienced all of this in some way or another, and I'm sure everyone has. And it really is important to be self-analyzing and check in with yourself.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're not fostering or encouraging a bond with somebody who's not healthy for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether it's metaphysical or not.
Right.
Those can only those only lead to bad things.
Yeah.
So if you do have an unhealthy bond, how do you remove it? One way is there are a lot of ways to remove yourself from an unhealthy relationship, a toxic relationship, and there are a lot of the same things that you would do for an unhealthy soul tie. Distance, relearning self-care, cutting this person out of your life. There are lots of different methods, but what we're going to talk about right now is a method called cord cutting. So if you have an energy cord on you that connects you to someone else or an energetic link, there is a ritual that you can do to help yourself get rid of it. So there are a few different ways to cut cords, but I'm going to talk about the candle method right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that you're going to do for your prep is you're going to get 2 candles. They can be shaped like figures, or you can use colors for the specific type of relationship. So if it's someone that you have a romantic relationship with or a sexual relationship, you can use red candles. If it's someone that was a friend or a platonic love, you can use pink. Family members can be blue, and if all else fails, you can use black or white for your candles. Different things that you can do, you can carve names on the candles or sigils that represent the person. Or you can write them on a piece of paper and put it underneath the candle that represents the individual in the cord cutting ceremony. For toxic and abusive relationships, please find a way to get yourself somewhere safe and out of the physical situation if it's you that is in this situation. As you're cutting the energetic cords, what I like to do is I have the candles in separate circles of salt. So I use black salt around the abuser or the toxic person in the relationship, and then I use white salt around the victim. The white salt, of course, being for protection. And the black salt is designed to keep the abuser's negativity in with them. Excuse me. Before you start, it's really important to cleanse yourself and your space. So you're going to put your candles in their holders, and you're going to tie a string from one candle to the other. And this is representative of the energetic tie between them. You're going to visualize the candles as the people in the relationship and visualize them together, and then visualize them coming apart. Take as long as you need to do this. While you're visualizing, you're going to light the candles and you're going to focus on the desired outcome as well. Like, what do you want to happen out of this? Obviously, it's for our person that is the victim to be healthy and out of the bad situation. So as the candles start burning down at some point, the string itself should light and burn, which would sever that connection. Let the candles burn down completely, and it might be best to have them in a heat-proof container. So if you have like an aluminum tub or something that you can put them in so you have the space between them to be able to burn, that kind of heat-proof container would be good while you're letting them burn down. But what happens if that cord doesn't burn? So it's very rare that it happens, but I have seen it happen. If the cord doesn't burn, there's a little bit more in play here. So it's best to kind of stop what you're doing and do some kind of divination work to assess the situation, because there might be more spiritual work that needs to be done before the tie can be severed. So it may be that even though this is a toxic and unhealthy tie, there's other spiritual work that needs to get completed, because just cutting the tie between the two people could jeopardize both people.
I appreciate that you are outlining this so that people can do this cord cutting ritual.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to involve ritual in these things because it helps us to move forward. Mm-hmm. Ritual is a human basic instinct.
Yeah.
And having the outlines for it, and not to plug my favorite store in the world, but a great place to get candles is the dollar store. They're inexpensive and they're usually in all these different colors.
They are. Just if you are going to the dollar store, do not get the glass enclosed candles.
Yeah.
Because for this particular purpose, it doesn't work because you're not able to burn the cord. Or if you do get those particular candles and you tie the string between the two, then you have to do something to physically sever the cord. So you would cut it with a knife, cut it with a pair of scissors as you're watching this burn down. Mm-hmm. So if your candle cord isn't burning, just definitely, do the divination or have somebody do a divination for you. I feel that it is my due diligence to say, if you go to a practitioner to have your cord severed, just, do your research, make sure that it's somebody that is a legitimate, thank you, practitioner, somebody that's doing that. Obviously, we can do that through the shop, but I'm sure that there are wonderful shops in your area. You can look for botanicas. You can, look in your area for different spirit workers. If you are in the San Francisco Bay Area, we have 2 shops out here in Alameda. There is the Feathered Outlaw, which I plug them all the time. They're one of my favorite shops. Also in San Francisco, there's the Sword and the Rose. So they also have some very good practitioners there as well. If you're in San Mateo, where I live, there is a lovely shop called Mystic Flora Apothecary, and they also have practitioners and spirit workers there as well. Just do your research, and if you're in a situation with a practitioner where they are saying, oh, I need more money, I need more money, I need more money, stop and think about what can you do yourself, and what is actually legitimately needed. Is this what this practitioner is doing for you legitimate? I unfortunately have had a friend who was trying to fix his love life and spent tens of thousands of dollars on this online practitioner. And, he told me about it after the fact, after he'd spent, I don't know how much money. And I said, you know what? I really wish that you had come to me, because I literally would have done this for you for free.
Yeah. I think it's important to not choose online and to not choose roadside psychics. And by that I mean the people that have the psychic tarot reading, neon signs in the windows.
Well, I've known some good practitioners that have worked there, but I think it's important to do your research,
right, and get a legitimate
yes
person. Well, that's why going through a shop is helpful.
Yeah,
because generally we check each other, we legitimize each other,
yeah,
and look for referrals, look for recommendations on people. That too. But that's why I think shops are a safe, good, direct way to get someone to help you, a practitioner to help you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that all psychics are bad. I'm saying roadside psychics.
But sometimes, you know, you can find diamonds in the rough, but you also can find rot under the beautiful packaging.
Yes.
So just be smart, be discerning, you know, pay attention. If you're, you know, I mean, we do have things like Yelp and Google that do reviews about places. And, you know, honestly, if you see someone who's given a review, look at what their other reviews are. Does it seem like a legitimate person that's doing this? Great. Most energetic links are there for a reason. You know, our soul links help us grow and evolve. And sometimes, yes, we do create unhealthy links, but sometimes they're there for a reason too. Like, I truly believe that every bad situation we can learn something from. That's all I really have for today. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Just self awareness and being real with yourself. Reviewing your input in the situation. I think far too often we want to point the finger at an outside source as the problem, but the only consistency is you. And so if you are continuing to foster unhealthy relationships, you're going to continue to have unhealthy relationships. And after I got single at 37, I stayed single until about 47. And a lot of it was a personal choice because I needed to work on myself. And if 10 years is what you need to work on yourself, then that's what you need.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. We hope that you found this informative. Join us next time when we discuss... What are we discussing next time on our next episode?
Why is all the pressure on me?
You really have to just read the line that I wrote there. You came up with the thing that we're talking about on the next episode.
Authors that impressed us and God, jeez, I just sound like such a dork right now.
I'm really just laughing because you're the one that came up with what did you say that we were doing?
Influenced us in our divination work, in our practitioner.
Yeah, that helped just get us to mysticism.
Mysticism. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Geez, you pay better attention than I do to what I say.
I do. Thank God one of us does.
Thank God.
In the meantime, in between episodes, follow us on social media. Where can you find us, Lauren?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also find exclusive podcast content on our Patreon at https://patreon.com/Golden Apple Metaphysical.
You can find all the links in the show notes.
I failed.
It's okay. She's so pretty, folks. She's so pretty. If you have any comments, questions, or personal experiences that can tie in with today's episode, email us, right? We love getting emails. I don't get any emails. I would love, any emails to this email. My personal email is wild. But it is wild. It's out of control. It's like 350,000 emails that I haven't checked because nobody got time for that. But if you have thoughts about energetic ties, what to do, what not to do, how to pick them, if you have a story about an energetic tie that you've gone through, like, please email us. So you can email us at whatinthemysticalhell@gmail.com. So this has been another episode of What in the Mystical Hell podcast, where the energy is flowing. There aren't always links, but when we get them, they're crazy. And when things go bump in the night, we bump back. I'm Nikki Jobin.
I'm Lauren Aviance.
Thank you so much. Pay attention where you dip your energetic wick around. I don't know, that was just weird. It really sounded much better in my head than when we did this.
Be careful where you stick your energetic wick.
There you go.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Sounded good in our heads. Good night, Irene.
Good night.